If you're a fan of music, maybe primarily Memphis music, it doesn't necessarily have to be that, chances are you've got a record or two in your collection that have some horns on it. Trumpet, saxophone, that kind of thing. There were a couple of guys here in Memphis who rather famously recorded on a bunch of people's records throughout the day. And those guys would become known as the Memphis Horns. It was Andrew Love and Wayne Jackson. These two guys won a Lifetime Achievement Grammy for their significant contributions to music throughout the years. If you were a musician and you got the Memphis Horns on your record, well, you had something really special for sure. And this time out, as we go drinking with dead people, we're going to sit down and tell the story of Mr. Wayne Jackson.
Every stone marks a story. Interesting stories, people like you and I. History that should be recounted. Here we toast those you may or may not know who have gone on before us and left behind their tales to be told. Here we'll be drinking with dead people.
One of the signature sounds that came from Memphis back in the day, of course, was having a horn section included in your album. And having a couple of cats by the name of Wayne Jackson and Andrew Love, known as the Memphis Horns, would be something really special to have on your record. It all kind of happened by accident, quite frankly. The Marquis were recording their famous instrumental tune called Last Night. You'll know it when you hear it. Even though it doesn't really have any lyrics per se, it kind of does. Because somewhere in the tune, there's a bit of a dead part in the song, and you hear Last Night. And then a little bit later on, you hear, oh yeah, that was this guy. It was Wayne Jackson. It turned out that the partnership would last a lifetime. These guys wound up putting together the actual company that would be the Memphis Horns. It was just the two of them. And they wound up playing on a bunch of records out of Stax. And they were, like I mentioned before, they got a Lifetime Achievement Grammy in 2012 for their contributions to music over the years. They would later go on to tour with Elvis Presley. Yeah, that Elvis. They also went on the road with the Doobie Brothers. Otis Redding, they played on his stuff as well. These guys were everywhere, and this was a big deal, considering that they were really nothing more than just a couple of studio musicians who kind of got lucky. Wayne Jackson was born in West Memphis, Arkansas, just a few days apart from his longtime partner, Andrew Love. Of course, they both stayed in and around this area because, well, Memphis is what it is musically, one of the more famous places to be. This is a mecca, if you will, for early rock and roll and all sorts of soul and blues, and these guys were right into the thick of it. And to this day, a lot of bands will always want to have some sort of a horn section. Of course, can't get the Memphis Horns anymore, but that's not to say that legacy doesn't continue on to this day. After a long career back out onto the road, making records, doing all the things that they had done throughout the years, Wayne passed away of heart failure, congestive heart failure. Passed away 2016, so at least he got to be rewarded with this Lifetime Achievement Award from the Grammys and get to see his legacy of his music spread all over the world. Kind of an unsung hero in some aspects, but it's proof that even a studio musician can make or break a record, that's for sure. After several years recording at Stax, they incorporated themselves into the Memphis Horns and began freelancing, recording for sessions with artists such as Neil Diamond, Elvis, of course, Al Green, Dusty Springfield. These two guys also toured with the Doobie Brothers, Jimmy Buffett, and Robert Cray, among many, many other performers. Just before his death, after several years of failing health during which he still maintained a very active schedule, he was making a little bit of an income by giving personalized guided tours of the Stax Museum of American Soul Music. He was 74 years of age. It would cement Memphis as the mecca of all sorts of recordings that would come through here. And when you had these guys on your record, you knew you were going to go places. And it was a great career, and it was a great move for these guys. They eventually even showed up on an episode with David Letterman, because having the Memphis Horns in your program was a thing to have happen. It was special. Indeed, it was special. So, on that, we certainly got to have a little toast to our friend Wayne, don't you think? Somewhere still blowing his horn. Probably on your turntable. How about that? So, Wayne, thank you, buddy. Join us again next time as we wander the headstones of history and go drinking with dead people.